Dawn had not yet broken when British soldier Thomas Gray rose from his narrow trench on the Ypres front, that patch of Belgian soil which, in the First World War, had become a stage for mud, death, and yellow gas. The sky was dark, as if dreading what was to come, and the cold gnawed at the limbs of the men who had spent the night among marsh rats, and the smell of gunpowder hanging in the air. Across from them, behind the German lines, Sergeant Hans Friedrich stood atop the muddy barricade, watching the thick fog that obscured the horizon. For months he had been here, on the outskirts of the small town of Ypres, fighting without rest. He no longer knew if he was fighting for his country, or simply to stay alive for another day. Between these two men, the earth stretched out broken, wounded like a page of a book thrown into a fire. Twisted trenches, shell holes, trees without branches that resembled the shadows of unknown victims. And every evening, a brief silence preceded the storm, and each of them imagined that perhaps the war would suddenly end. But that silence was always deceptive. On the morning of April 24th, 1915, the wind stirred a strange movement. It wasn't shells, nor the footsteps of soldiers, but a thick yellow cloud slipping from the German lines, creeping across the ground like an invisible creature hunting prey. "Gas! Gas!" shouted one of the soldiers. Everyone scrambled to put on their masks in a frantic rush. Thomas dug his hand into the mud as he searched for his mask while the cloud drew near. For a moment, he felt as if the air itself had betrayed humanity, as if the heavens had decided to join the war. He finally put on his mask, but his heart remained exposed. On the other side, Hans watched the cloud move. He wasn't proud to be using the new weapon, but he knew that the command wanted to test its effectiveness at Ypres before anywhere else. As he watched the cloud cross the killing field, he saw the soldiers on the British side retreat like terrified shadows. Something in his heart trembled. This isn't war, he thought. This is dishonorable death. After hours of chaos, the men's fates converged at the edge of a large trench. Thomas, his mask forcibly removed from the toxic air, coughed violently as he crawled for cover. Suddenly, he heard footsteps approaching. He looked up and saw a German soldier cautiously approaching, his rifle lowered. It was Hans himself. The two men exchanged a fleeting glance, a look not between enemies, but between two weary souls caught in the heart of a war neither of them understood. Hans pointed to a bottle of water, placed it in front of Thomas, and took a step back. The encounter was brief. The shelling didn't wait for such a rare moment of humanity. More explosions roared, and the two men parted as they had come, Thomas back to his trench, Hans disappearing into the smoke of the artillery.